Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordan and welcome to today's video, which is another crochet vlog. In case you missed my last video, which was also my first video, I'm starting this channel, this video series, in anticipation of a craft market that I have recently been approved to sell at. And I'm very excited about it, and I'm really focused right now on building up inventory for that market. In my last video, I finished up some previous items that I had been working on, so now I have kind of a fresh slate to start working on some new items that I haven't started yet. And I think what I want to do is start working on some smaller items. The thing that I love making the most is adult cardigans, and I definitely want to have a good variety of those to bring to the market. So I will be working on some of those over the next few weeks, but I also know that having smaller, more affordable items is important for markets specifically. For people who either don't want to spend, $100+ on a full-size item, maybe they're not into cardigans to begin with, or maybe it's someone in my life who wants to show support without buying something that expensive. All the people who want to buy something but don't want it to be super expensive. And I have a few ideas of what I want those to be. The first thing is that I want to make several sets of beanies along with matching hand warmers or fingerless gloves. I don't know for sure if I actually want to sell them as sets. Probably not, I'll just sell them separately. But I like the idea of having matching sets or coordinating sets available for anybody who does want them. I do have several beanies already ready to go. I don't have any hand warmers currently made. I have made one set before, but I gifted them away for Christmas. I actually made a beanie and hand warmer set in this kind of rainbowy yarn, which I absolutely loved, so that's why I made another beanie. But yeah, that's my first thing, is I want to make at least one matching beanie and hand warmer set in this video, maybe two. We will see. The next thing I want to make is some lanyards or keychains. I have one example, so this is obviously this exact same yarn. This is just the end of the skein that I had. This seems like a really good use for scraps. I don't have the actual keychain ends yet. I ordered them. They should be here tomorrow, so then I can attach like the actual, clasp that goes at the end of a keychain. But if you can see, this is the Winter Wheat Stitch by Brianna K Designs. It is beautiful, and I want to make a bunch more keychains and lanyards with this stitch pattern. I did make this out of scrap acrylic yarn that I had, but according to the pattern, cotton works better because it doesn't stretch as much. So I did pick up just a little bit of cotton yarn because obviously these are small, don't take a lot of yarn. And then I do have a couple of skeins of cotton yarn in my stash already. So we're just gonna make a bunch of these. And with these, I really wanna figure out my timing, how long it takes me to crochet not only this small like wristlet-ish size one, but also longer lanyards that go around your neck. I want to understand how long those take me to make, how much yarn they take, so that I can figure out pricing for these, but I assume it will be, I don't know, $10 or less. So gonna make a bunch of these. And then the last thing I want to start to make in this video is some scrunchies. I know that scrunchies are the type of thing that it seems like every crochet maker makes and every crochet maker at a market sells, but it also sounds like they're pretty good sellers. So I do want to have some scrunchies available. I do have some samples. Here are some scrunchies that I already had made. I often see these made with really soft, like velvety type yarn, which I don't really keep on hand for anything other than scrunchies. And I didn't have any more on hand at this point, so I did go ahead and pick up some more fluffy, soft, velvety type yarn. These skeins that I got are huge, so these will make so many scrunchies, but that's okay. I don't have to use all of it in one go, but I do want to have a good variety of colors of scrunchies available. And then same thing, I kind of want to get my timing down. I kind of want to try to figure out how many scrunchies I can get out of one big ball of yarn to figure out pricing for those. So that's the plan. That's what I'm going to get to crocheting. So I will just have some B-roll of the crochet process, and then I'll probably be back as I finish each type of item to show it off to you and let you know how it went, especially with that timing information. So I'm gonna get crocheting and I'll be back with my next update when I have it. Okay, I have been crocheting for a bit. I decided to get started on some hand warmer slash fingerless gloves. So I started with this like pinky tan color. It looks a little more pink on camera than it is in real life, a little more warm. I double stranded this. This is Yarn Bee Simply Flawless acrylic yarn, and it says it's a lightweight yarn, number 3 or weight 3. It's a pretty thick weight 3 in my opinion, but I did double it up, and I followed a tutorial from, let me find it, the YouTube channel The Turtle Trunk, and I used her free Country Cottage fingerless gloves crochet tutorial. So I doubled up those strands and made one glove so far in this color. So you put it on and it's like a mitten without fingers or a thumb, but there's a thumb hole. So I made one of these, and I was not sure how I felt about it because it is very thick because I double stranded that yarn. So I wanted to experiment and try making the same exact pattern with a yarn where I just used one strand. So I then picked up my I Love This Yarn acrylic yarn, which is a medium weight yarn, size 4, but kind of similar in thickness in my opinion at least. And I just used a single strand of that yarn and made 2 of that fingerless glove pattern with this yarn. And it is definitely thinner, but it is comfortable. So I think I like both of them. I think I will make the other one with this double-stranded yarn, and I'll just price them maybe slightly different because this is definitely thicker, this is thinner. Some people might have a preference, but I am happy with how they both came out. And each of these took me exactly 30 minutes. So 1 hour for the pair, which is great. I think I will look on Etsy to see what other comparable, you know, fingerless gloves are selling for. But considering that this took me an hour and took probably half of a skein of yarn, this costs $5. So I would probably price these in like the $15–20 range. This one maybe a little bit more, maybe 20 to 25 since I doubled up the yarn. But this will definitely be one of the more affordable items at the market in my booth. So very happy with that. That's probably all of the crocheting I'm going to be doing today. I do have to go pick up my kids, do some mom stuff. Maybe I'll make the other one of these tonight if I have time, but next time I check in with you will probably be another day when I'm starting another project. Okay, I am back with a little bit of an update because I did finish 2 of the beanie and fingerless glove sets that I was wanting to make for this video. So I did already mention that I finished a kind of thin pair of green fingerless gloves, and then I did also finish the second of this thick double-stranded pink pair. This did take me a little bit longer for this set. I'd say probably like 45 minutes per glove compared to the 30 minutes for these ones, just because the double-stranded yarn is a little bit more difficult to work with. I have to concentrate a little bit more about, you know, grabbing both strands of yarn, plus it just is a little bit more work on like my muscles, I guess. I don't know, tensioning is a little bit more difficult in my opinion. So I definitely will be pricing these a little bit higher than these ones probably, but I think I'll put something on the tag about these being like a thick version and these just being, you know, a regular version. Anybody who picked them up would be able to feel that. So I think that will be fine and justified. And I think I already mentioned the YouTube tutorial that I followed to make these fingerless gloves. I really like the tutorial, very easy to follow. And then I wanted to see if she had a matching beanie pattern or tutorial that uses the same stitch pattern, and she does. So that's what I followed to make this green beanie. This is also just single-stranded, so it's maybe a little bit more thin than some other beanies I've made in the past, but it's a similar stitch pattern. It does have like some single crochet rounds, and it was actually interesting to me that this tutorial starts at the crown or the top of the hat and works its way down to the ribbing, whereas the glove tutorial starts with the ribbing and then goes up. So I actually thought the hat pattern would do the same thing because, you know, you're doing the same thing, you're working it around, you just obviously don't need the thumb hole in the hat. So I thought it would be the same. It wasn't the same. So for the pink set, I decided to go away from that tutorial, which I will link below in case you want to make this exact hat or these hand warmers. But I then tested out making a hat or a beanie with the same exact pattern as the glove, just the size of a hat, if that makes sense. And I actually love how this came out. So the side-by-side comparison, if you can see, I did follow her pattern for the teen/adult small size of hat, and it's very like kind of wide and short in my opinion. Obviously this is rolled up. If you uncuffed it, this is what it would look like, but it is intended to be a cuffed beanie. And I don't know, I just don't really love the look of those single crochet parts on the top, whereas this one, I just love that it's that alpine stitch going all the way up. And this one, like I said, I just kind of winged it. So I did the ribbing first, and I made a thicker ribbing band, and I just did it for as many rows as I thought it would take to fit around an adult's head. And then I went ahead and just did the alpine stitch around and around and around as many times as I wanted to. I just made this straight up into a rectangle and then cinched the top together. So there is a little bit more like bunched fabric at the top of this hat compared to this one, just lays very flat. So yeah, I liked doing this kind of experiment to compare 2 different ways to make an alpine stitch hat. I personally like this one better, but that is personal taste, and I will definitely sell both of these at the market, so we'll see how that goes. And I will probably stage them next to their corresponding fingerless glove sets in case anybody wants to buy the whole matching set. So I think, let's see what I wrote down for pricing. I think for the thin hand warmers, I'm gonna go for $20. The thicker ones, I will go for $25, just to accommodate that little bit more of yarn that goes into the double stranding, and then that little bit of extra time, like I mentioned, that it took me to make. And then I didn't exactly time myself making both of these hats. This one, I was watching the tutorial and crocheting it while watching some TV. So I definitely wasn't like 100% dedicated to making it. So it took me about 3 hours while watching TV, which is more like, I don't know, 2.5 hours, maybe just straight up And so with the material costs, I figure I will sell this hat for about $30. And then this one, I also didn't time. I just made this while on some work meetings today and just in spare time. So I didn't have just a chunk of time to time it because it is double stranded. So it takes quite a bit more material than the single stranded hat. And because it also probably took me somewhere in that 2.5 to 3 hour range to make, I probably will price this one at $40. But again, even if you pick these up, you really can feel that this one is much thicker. So I think that's justified and can be justified, you know, at the market to have these at 2 different price points. All right, so I'm feeling really good about those sets. I think I want to pivot and work on something else now. I do think I want to get started on some lanyards or keychains, which I mentioned making out of some cotton yarn that I picked up. So I'll probably get started on that. I'll be back when I have another update. Okay, good news. I think I have completed everything that I set out to complete in this vlog. I've been crocheting a bunch, I've been timing, looking at materials, trying to figure out some pricing things. So let's catch up, but let's wrap up what I've been working on. So the first thing I've been doing a bunch of, as I discussed wanting to do, is crochet a whole bunch of long lanyards and little wristlet keychains in a bunch of different cotton yarns, and this has been going great. I did mention that I've been using Brianna K Designs Winter Wheat keychain and lanyard pattern, which is free, so I will link that below. I do recommend it. However, I did make one modification, so I wonder if I'll be able to show this on camera. But this keychain is me following the pattern exactly. Okay, can I get this to focus? So basically the pattern is just you chain whatever length you want the keychain to be, then you go back in with a single crochet along that starting chain, and then you do 2 rows of her modified puff stitch, and that's what makes the wheat looking pattern. I was thinking that this looks a little bit unbalanced, like it's not completely symmetrical because that single crochet does add a row on this side, and I didn't love how that looks. I mean, it does look fine. It is beautiful. I will still, you know, have this at the market and everything like that. But I was wondering if I could get it to look a little bit more symmetrical. So then I tried doing one where I just slip stitched instead of single crocheted on that first row. So let me see. I think a bunny just ran by my window. Let me see if I can get this to focus. So this, in my opinion, looks a lot more symmetrical and balanced because that starting row is just a slip stitch row, and then the finished edge of the second wheat stitch row looks a little bit more like that slip stitch row. So I don't know if that makes any difference to what you can see on camera, but in person I do like how I modified it just a little bit better. It looks just a little bit more symmetrical. So I'm glad I did that kind of experimentation, and it doesn't really change anything in terms of the time it takes me to crochet these. I'm sure it has a negligible effect on the amount of yarn that I use. But yeah, okay, what did I make? I made 2 of this kind of red color keychain length, and then I made 2 lanyard length of the red. And same thing, I had done the original pattern and then kind of my modified slip stitch pattern. So I like both of these. And then also, I guess just for reference, for the short ones, I ended up doing 51 initial chains. So the following rows were 50 stitches each, which is exactly what she has in her pattern, I think, for the shortest length. And then for the long version, she had a lot more chains listed, and I shortened it to 100 starting chains. Or no, 101 starting chains, so that the number of stitches was 100 stitches. And I just think that that looks like the appropriate length. I actually like that it's exactly double the keychain length. So super easy for calculating, you know, amount of materials and everything like that. And then I made a keychain length of the blue yarn, a lanyard length of the blue yarn. I have a bunch of blue yarn left, so I will make more of each of these. Same thing in the green. So the green and white cotton I have, let me actually share what I used. So the red and blue are both this Lion brand Made with Love. Looks like this is Tom Daly, maybe. But this is actually 60% cotton and 40% acrylic, so it does stretch a little bit, but because of that, it's also softer to the touch compared to this green cotton yarn that I have is 100% cotton. So these keychains I made with that are a little bit less stretchy and definitely less soft and more kind of structured feeling. So I'm happy to have the options, but again, I made 1 keychain length in the green and 1 lanyard length, and I'll make at least 1 more of each of those. And then so far in the white cotton yarn that I have only made the keychain length, but I definitely will be making the lanyard length going forward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these items so far. I'm really happy with that. I have honestly no idea how well these will sell, but like I said, I just want to have kind of some lower priced options available. And when I did the math, so the shorter keychain length ones take me about half an hour to crochet, and the longer ones take me about 45 minutes. The amount of material, when I consider this yarn as well as the keychain clasps that I purchased. The short ones take about $1 in materials, the long ones about $2.25 in materials. So I think I will end up selling these short keychains for about $7 each and these long lanyards for about $12 each. And that will definitely cover my, material costs and time and everything like that. So that's what I'm gonna go with for these items. And then the other thing that you saw me crochet is some scrunchies. So I did use that yarn that I showed earlier. I think it's Loops and Threads branded. Super soft plushy yarn for these, and I really love them. They are really soft. And they were super quick and easy to make. This yarn is very thick. I used an 8mm hook and each one took me about 10 minutes. So not long at all. I do need to figure out material costs still because I haven't calculated how many scrunchies I can get out of each of those massive balls of yarn that I have. So at some point I will do that either by finishing one of the balls or by weighing the material. I'll figure it out. But what I probably will end up charging each of these scrunchies for is like $5. I've seen other crochet artists charge up to $7 per scrunchie, and I don't know that I necessarily need to do that. But I think $5 probably feels right for these soft plushy scrunchies. And so far I have done 3 yellow ones, 2 pink ones, and 1 blue one. The blue ball of yarn completely barfed all over me, so that will take some organization before I'm able to make more blue ones. But again, I will definitely be making a bunch more of these before the market just to have a bunch of options on hand. I probably will pick up some other colors to use as well, maybe not in those massive balls of yarn. I actually just picked those up because they were buy 2 get 1 free from Michaels, so I took advantage of that. But just to have some other options, I'll probably buy some smaller balls of cheaper yarn in more varieties of colors. And yeah, I definitely feel accomplished with everything that I have crocheted within this vlog. I feel like I have a good grasp on the smaller items that I'll be bringing to the market. Again, I don't want like a million of these little items because I don't want this to be the bulk of what I'm selling, but I can't deny they are so quick and easy to make. It is kind of nice to just knock one out whenever I have a free half hour or so. And at the very least, I will finish, the material that I have to have those ready for the market, and we will just see how they sell. So I think that's all I have for today's video. Let me know which item I crocheted is your favorite. Let me know if you were shopping at a market, which colors would you be looking for in like the hat and glove sets, in the lanyards, and in the scrunchies. What kind of colors do you gravitate towards? I definitely have my preferences, but I would like to offer what is popular. Thank you so much for your support, not only on this video, but also on my first crochet vlog. I'm feeling a lot of love and support, and I'm really still excited about this new channel. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.